Okay, so next I'm going to talk about my education history. Now, in school, I did pretty good in this town. I started having troubles when I met that girl that blackmailed me, which I made that video, which caused me to try to commit suicide and go into the hospital where I was for all those years. Now, while I was in the mental institute, my grades went up. I mean, I was doing pretty good actually. It was really weird. There was a time period where I was doing really bad here, and that's because of all the stress that was going on. And then it went up after I went to the mental institute. But once I got out and I tried to go back to school here in this town, they wouldn't let me. Even though I had never caused any problems here, because of my mental illness, they wouldn't let me. They wanted me to go to a school that they send troubled kids to go to. And I went there. I think 3 days altogether. They even had a police officer on the bus. Anyway, after going, I could tell that there was no way I was going to survive in that school. This was a school full of troublemakers, and I wasn't a person that did any kind of fighting or anything at school. Um, so I end up basically quitting. I mean, I think of it as I didn't really quit. They wouldn't let me go back to school here. This also was a time period where Michael Myers and Halloween and kind of movies where it had mental illness, Freddy Krueger and stuff like that. And I think a lot of people were spooked on mental illness. I don't even think there was any other people in school at the time who was documented with a mental illness. I don't think so. I think it was just me. And it was all kind of new and all that, and people were scared. So they wouldn't let me, and I think it's unfair. So I only made it till 10th grade. That's it. That's the last grade that I completed. I did try to take my GED when I was in Job Corps, but I missed by 3 points. Then when I tried to do it later on, I missed by more, like 8 points. When I missed by 3, I was crying because I was so close. I still got my certificates. Every time I completed something, you would get a certificate. And then once you get it all done, you go take your test, which is what I did. And I missed by 3 points. So later on, I tried to get in the military. This was years later. And I had to take the GED test for that. And I failed by many. We're talking about like 15 points or something like that. So, and the guy even tried to sneak me in. He was going to try to talk something out, but he couldn't do it. You got to pass it. So I never got my GED. So as far as book smarts, I'm not very smart. As far as spelling, I suck at spelling words. I use Google a lot. Or I'll use a different word. If I want to say something and I can't spell a word, I'll say a different way, but it's still the same thing. But use a word that I know how to spell. It sucks. I did teach myself how to, work on cars and computers, and then of course I learned my trade while I was in Job Corps: electrical, plumbing, sheetrocking, carpentry, basically everything you need in order to fix a house. And so I haven't had to call nobody. I could do it myself. I do it up to the standards that it needs to be, and I'm glad I'm self-sufficient. And I work on cars, so I'm self-sufficient there. So for now, my age, I've reached a point where I don't want to work on cars anymore. I just don't. And because every time I do, I end up getting hurt. Little, but it takes time to heal. Every single time. And your hands get all nasty and greasy, and oh, sucks. All right. So that's it on that. I wish I could have completed. I wish I could have got my GED, but I didn't. Maybe in the future, but I just seriously doubt it. It's just been so. If you don't use it, you lose it. And so I haven't used any of that stuff, so I've definitely lost it. All right, so that's it on that. Thank you for watching. I really appreciate it. And it's just me keeping it real. Bye.